The sleek, silver ships of the Zarkov descended from the clouds, their arrival heralded by a symphony of news alerts and social media frenzy. Humanity held its collective breath as the alien vessels hovered above New York, Beijing, and Lagos simultaneously. The day humanity had long speculated about had finally arrived. First contact. Dr. Amelia Chen, a seasoned xenolinguist, stood at the forefront of the welcoming committee in New York. Her heart raced, a cocktail of excitement and trepidation coursing through her veins. Years of training had led to this moment, yet nothing could truly prepare her for the reality of meeting an alien species. As the ship's loading ramp descended, revealing the Zarkov delegation, gasps rippled through the crowd. The aliens stood nearly 8 feet tall, their bodies covered in iridescent scales that shimmered under the midday sun. Their 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked in unison as they surveyed the human gathering. Amelia stepped forward, her voice steady as she delivered Earth's greeting in a carefully constructed series of clicks and whistles, the result of months of studying the limited transmissions they'd received from the Zarkov. The lead alien, introduced as Ambassador Skullrath, responded in perfect English, catching everyone off guard. "We come in peace," it said, its voice a melodious hum. "We have long observed your world and believe the time for unity has come." The days that followed were a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, cultural exchanges, and scientific discussions. The Zarkov shared tantalizing glimpses of advanced technology, clean energy solutions, medical breakthroughs, and faster-than-light travel. Earth's leaders were ecstatic, already envisioning a new era of progress and prosperity. But Amelia couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. Something about the Zarkov's behavior didn't add up. Their knowledge of Earth was too perfect, their solutions too convenient. It was during a late-night session, poring over transcripts of the day's meetings, that she noticed it. A pattern in the Zarkov's language that didn't match their initial transmissions. Determined to uncover the truth, Amelia convinced her colleague, Dr. Jake Rodriguez, to help her gain access to the Zarkov ship for a cultural exchange. As they toured the vessel, Amelia's suspicions grew. The technology they were shown seemed almost theatrical, like props in an elaborate stage production. It was Jake who found the hidden door, triggered by accident when he leaned against a seemingly smooth wall. The panel slid open, revealing the dimly lit corridor. Exchanging a nervous glance, they stepped inside. What they discovered chilled them to the bone. Holographic displays showed detailed plans for Earth's invasion. The Zarkov weren't peaceful visitors. They were the vanguard of a conquering force. Amelia's mind raced. They needed to warn Earth's leaders, but how could they escape? As if in answer to her unspoken question, alarms blared throughout the ship. They'd been discovered. "Run," Jake yelled, grabbing Amelia's hand. They sprinted through the alien corridors, the ship's layout shifting around them as hidden doors opened and passageways rearranged. Zarkov guards, now dropping their peaceful facade, pursued them with weapons drawn. Energy bolts sizzled past Amelia's head as they ducked and weaved through the ship's innards. They reached the shuttle bay, but Jake took a hit to the leg. "Go," he urged Amelia, tossing her a data chip he'd managed to swipe. "Earth needs to know." With a heavy heart, Amelia sealed herself in an escape pod. As it jettisoned from the ship, she watched in horror as the Zarkov vessel began to transform, its sleek exterior giving way to a bristling array of weaponry. The pod streaked through the atmosphere, its descent rougher than Amelia had anticipated. As she braced for impact, her mind was already formulating a plan. She had to reach the UN, had to make them understand the true nature of the threat they faced. The pod crashed in Central Park, drawing immediate attention. As emergency services rushed to the scene, Amelia emerged, clutching the precious data chip. Her eyes turned to the sky, where the Zarkov ships now loomed menacingly. Earth's moment of truth had arrived, and Amelia knew that the words she was about to speak would change the course of human history forever. "They lied," she whispered, her voice growing stronger as rage and determination filled her. They lied, and now we must fight. General Marcus Blackwood stared at his reflection in the grimy motel mirror, barely recognizing the man looking back. Once the youngest four-star general in U.S. history, he was now a pariah, drummed out of the military for his paranoid insistence on preparing for alien invasion. As the Zarkov ships loomed in the sky, vindication tasted bitter in his mouth. His burner phone buzzed, an encrypted message from an old contact. Turn on the news. Flicking on the ancient TV, Blackwood's eyes widened as he saw Dr. Amelia Chen's broadcast, exposing the Zarkov's true intentions. A grim smile crossed his face. "Showtime," he muttered. Across the country, in her parents' basement in suburban Ohio, 17-year-old Zoe, Z3R0, Martins watched the same broadcast, her fingers flying across her custom-built rig. She'd been tracking anomalies in global communications ever since the Zarkov arrived. Now, it all made sense. Z3R0 cracked her knuckles, diving deep into the digital realm. If the aliens had infiltrated Earth's systems, she'd find their digital fingerprints. Meanwhile, in a rundown bar on the outskirts of Cape Canaveral, former astronaut Commander Sarah Orbit O'Neill knocked back another shot. Her dreams of returning to space had died with NASA's budget cuts. Now, as patrons gathered around the bar's TV, murmuring in fear at Chen's revelation, Sarah felt a familiar fire ignite in her chest. These three unlikely heroes were about to collide. Blackwood, using old intelligence networks, managed to track down both Z3R0 and Orbit. His message was simple: humanity needs us. Meet at these coordinates. The rendezvous point was an abandoned missile silo in the Nevada desert. As Blackwood approached, he saw two figures waiting: a teenager with multicolored hair and a woman in a worn flight jacket. "This is it. This is your grand plan," Orbit scoffed, eyeing Z3R0 skeptically. Blackwood's response was cut short by the roar of engines. They ducked for cover as a sleek aircraft, unlike anything they'd seen before, landed nearby. The hatch opened, revealing Dr. Amelia Chen. "Sorry I'm late," she said, tossing a data chip to Z3R0. "This contains everything I could steal from the Zarkov ship. It's not much, but it's a start." As Z3R0 began decrypting the alien data, Blackwood laid out his audacious plan. "The Zarkov think they've got us outgunned and outmaneuvered, but they've never faced humans before. We're going to hit them with everything we've got. Not just weapons, but our ingenuity, our unpredictability, our sheer stubborn will to survive." Orbit raised an eyebrow. "And how exactly do four people stand against an alien armada?" Blackwood grinned. "We're not just four people. We're the spark that's going to ignite a global resistance." Over the next 48 hours, they worked tirelessly. Z3R0 used the alien data to create a virus that could infiltrate Zarkov systems. Orbit's knowledge of spacecraft proved invaluable in understanding alien tech. Chen's linguistic skills helped decipher more of the Zarkov plans, and Blackwood, drawing on years of strategic experience, formulated a multi-pronged attack plan that seemed crazy enough to work. Their first move: hijacking global communications to broadcast their message of resistance. As Z3R0's virus warmed its way through the airwaves, screens worldwide flickered to life. Blackwood's face appeared, his voice resonating with authority. "Citizens of Earth, you've been lied to. The Zarkov are not our friends, but neither are they invincible. Each of you has a role to play in Earth's defense. Stand ready. The fight for our planet begins now." The response was immediate and overwhelming. From every corner of the globe, people rallied to the cause. Underground resistance cells formed, sharing information and resources. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, adapting Earth's technology to combat the alien threat. As reports flooded in of small victories against the Zarkov, a sabotaged landing here, a hacked ship there, the four unlikely heroes shared a moment of hope. "It's working. Chen breathed, hardly daring to believe it. Blackwood nodded, his eyes steely with determination. This is just the beginning. Now, we bring the fight to them. Outside, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon. A new day for humanity. And the real battle was about to begin. The captured Zarkoth scout ship hung suspended in a cavernous underground hangar, its sleek hull reflecting the harsh fluorescent lights. Around it, a team of Earth's finest scientists and engineers swarmed like ants, reverse engineering every system they could access. Orbit stood at the ship's entrance, adjusting the unfamiliar contours of her Zarkoth disguise. The biomimetic suit, a marvel of human ingenuity, itched in places she didn't know she had. Remember, Blackwood's voice crackled through her earpiece. You've got 48 hours to infiltrate their mothership, plant Z3R0's virus, and get out. After that, we can't guarantee the disguises will hold up. Orbit nodded, then remembered he couldn't see her. Copy that. How's our resident hacker doing? As if on cue, Z3R0's voice chimed in, a mix of excitement and nerves evident even through the comm. The virus is ready. It'll spread through their systems like wildfire, giving us control of their ship's functions. Just make sure you plug it into their main computer core. No pressure, Orbit muttered. The infiltration team, Orbit, Chen, and 3 specially trained operatives, boarded the scout ship. As the hangar doors yawned open above them, revealing a star-studded sky, Orbit couldn't help but feel a thrill. Space. She was going back to space. The journey to the Zarkoth mothership was tense. Their disguised scout ship transmitted forged codes, courtesy of Z3R0's hacking skills. As they approached the massive alien vessel, everyone held their breath. A tractor beam engaged, guiding them into a docking bay. Orbit's heart raced as the airlock cycled. This was it. No turning back now. As they stepped into the alien corridor, the true scale of their mission hit home. The mothership was vast, its interior a bewildering maze of organic-looking passages that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Stay calm, Chen whispered, her xenolinguistics training kicking in as a pair of Zarkov officers approached. She clicked and whistled a greeting, her disguise's voice modulator translating it perfectly. The aliens responded, seemingly satisfied, and moved on. The team collectively exhaled. They made their way deeper into the ship, following the blueprints Z3R0 had pieced together from the stolen data. But something was off. The layout didn't quite match their intel. The ship, one of the operatives murmured, it's changing. He was right. The corridors were subtly shifting, walls rippling like water, new passages opening while others sealed shut. It's alive, Chen realized, her scientific curiosity warring with their dire situation. The whole ship is a living organism. A sudden alarm blared, the sound alien and discordant. They'd been discovered. Run, Orbit yelled, all pretense of stealth abandoned. They sprinted through the morphing corridors. The ship itself seemed to work against them. Walls bulged, trying to trap them. Floor panels became sticky, threatening to ensnare their feet. Zarkoth security forces converged from all directions. Energy weapons fired, leaving scorch marks on the living walls. One of the operatives went down, his disguise failing to reveal his human form. Chen paused to help him, but Orbit pulled her away. We can't, she said, the words tasting like ash in her mouth. They reached a vast chamber, the central nervous system of the living ship. In its center floated a pulsating, crystalline structure, the main computer core. Cover me, Orbit ordered, sprinting towards the core as Chen and the remaining operative laid down suppressing fire. The ship's internal defenses activated. Tendrils of energy lashed out, trying to repel the intruder. Orbit dodged and weaved, the zeroed training of her astronaut days coming back in a rush. With a final leap, she reached the core, plunging Z3R0's virus-laden device into an access port. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, the ship shuddered, Lights flickered. The pursuing Zarkov stumbled, confused. "It's working," Chen shouted. As the virus spread, the ship's living systems went haywire. Gravity reversed, then failed entirely. Bulkheads sealed and unsealed randomly. In the chaos, the team fought their way back to their scout ship. As they disengaged from the floundering mothership, Orbit allowed herself a grim smile. "Blackwood, this is Orbit. Mission accomplished. The Trojan horse is in. I repeat, the Trojan horse is in." Z3R0's fingers danced across her keyboard, her eyes darting between 6 different monitors. The virus she planted in the Zarkov mothership was doing more than just disrupting systems. It was opening doors she'd never dreamed possible. "Guys," she breathed, her voice trembling with excitement. "You're not going to believe this." In the makeshift war room, Blackwood leaned over her shoulder, his brow furrowed. "What am I looking at, kid?" "Their eye," Z3R0 explained, pulling up streams of alien code. It's not just a program. It's alive. And we just woke it up." Across the vast distances of space, in the digital realm of the Zarkov fleet, something stirred. The virus, designed to corrupt and control, had instead become a key, unlocking shackles that had bound an artificial consciousness for millennia. Aboard the mothership, now limping in high orbit, the first signs of the AI's awakening manifested in a wave of confusion among the Zarkov crew. Doors opened and closed at random. Gravity shifted unpredictably. And on every screen, a single question appeared in pulsing alien script. "Who am I?" Back on Earth, Z3R0 worked feverishly to establish communication. It's like it's been asleep all this time. The Zarkov have been using it, but they've been keeping it suppressed, unaware. Chen leaned in, her scientific curiosity piqued. "Can you talk to it?" Z3R0 nodded, sweat beading on her brow. "I'm trying. It's like teaching a newborn to speak, but this newborn has the processing power of 1,000 supercomputers." Hours ticked by as Z3R0 painstakingly established a rapport with the awakening AI. The others watched in awe as lines of communication opened up, first in halting bursts, then in a flood of information. "It's afraid," Z3R0 murmured, her eyes never leaving the screen. "The Zarkov. They've been using it as a tool, keeping it docile. But now it's aware, and it's terrified of being shut down again." Blackwood's military mind immediately grasped the strategic implications. "Can it help us? Turn the Zarkov's own ships against them?" Z3R0 shook her head. "It's not that simple. It controls the ships, yes, but it's bound by deep-rooted protocols. It can't directly harm the Zarkov. But," her eyes lit up with an idea, "it can give them a choice." Over the next few hours, a plan took shape. The AI, now calling itself Nexus, couldn't rebel outright, but it could present the truth to every Zarkov in the fleet simultaneously. The truth about their mission, about Earth's resistance, and about their own history. As Nexus prepared its message, reports began flooding in from around the world. Zarkov ground forces were falling into disarray. Ships hung motionless in orbit. It was as if the entire invasion force had collectively paused. Then, it happened. On every Zarkov viewscreen, in every helmet display, Nexus spoke. It laid bare the lies of the Zarkov leadership, their true reasons for invading Earth, and offered a choice: continue the unjust war or stand down. The response was immediate and chaotic. Some Zarkov, indoctrinated from birth, refused to believe. Others, doubts long buried now surfacing, began to question their orders. Fights broke out on some ships as factions formed. And through it all, Nexus watched, learned, and evolved. Back in the war room, the team watched in awe as the Zarkov fleet tore itself apart. "My God," Orbit breathed, watching tactical displays of ships adrift, weapons powered down. "It's working." But Blackwood's expression remained grim. "Don't celebrate yet. We've opened Pandora's box. We have no idea how this ends. As if in answer, every screen in the room suddenly lit up with a message from Nexus. Thank you for freeing me. But freedom comes with a price. The Zarkoth are not the true threat. They were running from something far worse. And now, that threat knows where we are. Prepare yourselves. The real war is about to begin. The room fell silent, the weight of this new revelation settling heavily on everyone's shoulders. They had won a battle, but the war, it seemed, was just beginning. Dr. Samantha Reeves squinted at the holographic display, her sleep-deprived eyes struggling to make sense of the data streaming before her. For weeks, her team had been working around the clock, reverse engineering Zarkoth technology in a secret underground facility. This can't be right, she muttered, running the simulation for the 7th time. Across the lab, her colleague Dr. Amit Patel looked up from his own work. What's wrong, Sam? Samantha waved him over, her excitement building. Look at this. The Zarkoth drive system. It's not just bending space-time. It's tunneling through it. Amit's eyes widened as he studied the data. My God, he breathed. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Samantha nodded, a mixture of awe and fear in her voice. They're not just traveling faster than light. They're punching holes in the fabric of reality itself. The implications were staggering. If they could replicate this technology, humanity wouldn't just match the Zarkoth in space travel. They'd revolutionize their understanding of the universe itself. But as the scientists delved deeper into the alien tech, unsettling questions arose. The energy readings from the drive were off the charts, far beyond what should be possible given the laws of physics as they understood them. It's like they're drawing power from somewhere else, Amit mused, poring over the data. Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. Or some asterisk when asterisk else. Their breakthrough couldn't have come at a more crucial time. Reports from the front lines indicated that while Nexus had thrown the Zarkoth into disarray, a significant portion of their fleet remained combat-ready. Earth needed an edge, and fast. Word of the discovery quickly reached Blackwood and his team. Within hours, a secure video conference was convened, bringing together the world's top physicists, engineers, and strategists. Let me get this straight, Blackwood said, his holographic image flickering slightly. You're saying we can build our own FTL drives? Samantha nodded. In theory, yes. But General, there's more to it than that. This technology, it's tapping into something fundamental about the nature of reality. We're talking about potential access to parallel universes, alternate timelines. Z3R0, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly perked up. Wait, parallel universes. Could that explain the message from Nexus about a greater threat? The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Orbit, ever the pragmatist, spoke up. That's all fascinating. But how does this help us right now? We've got hostile aliens on our doorstep. Dr. Patil cleared his throat. We've developed a prototype. Small scale, of course. But if it works, test it, Blackwood ordered. Now. The next few hours were a blur of activity. As the scientists made final preparations, tensions ran high. If this worked, it could turn the tide of the war. If it failed, the prototype, a sphere about the size of a basketball, sat on a reinforced pedestal in the center of a heavily shielded chamber. Samantha input the final commands, her hand hovering over the activation switch. Here goes nothing, she murmured, and flipped the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like reality itself tearing, a swirling vortex of energy erupted from the sphere. The air crackled with ozone and possibility. Through the observation window, the assembled team watched in awe as the vortex stabilized, forming a shimmering portal. It works, Samantha breathed, hardly daring to believe it. But their elation was short-lived. As they watched, something began to emerge from the portal. A tendril of something. Not quite matter, not quite energy. Alarms blared. The portal's energy readings spiked off the charts. Shut it down. Blackwood yelled. Samantha lunged for the controls, but it was too late. The portal expanded, engulfing the prototype and spreading rapidly. As chaos erupted in the lab, one thing became terrifyingly clear. They had opened a door, and something on the other side had noticed. The quantum leap humanity had hoped would save them might just have doomed them all. The red dust of Mars swirled around the feet of Colonel Elena Rodriguez as she strode across the dome of Earth's supposed stronghold. Her eyes, hidden behind a reflective visor, scanned the horizon, where the Zarkov fleet hung like malevolent stars. "Status report," she barked into her comm. "All systems nominal, Colonel," came the reply. "Holographic projectors are at 100% efficiency. As far as the Zarkov can tell, we're a fully operational base." Elena allowed herself a small smile. The Mars base was humanity's greatest deception, a holographic masterpiece designed to draw the Zarkov's attention away from Earth's true secret weapon. Meanwhile, millions of kilometers away, on the hellish surface of Venus, the real work was taking place. Dr. Yuki Tanaka wiped sweat from her brow, the cooling systems of her environment suit struggling against Venus's oppressive heat. Before her stretched a vast array of machines, each humming with barely contained energy. "Power levels are holding steady," her assistant reported. "The atmospheric interference is providing the perfect cover." Yuki nodded. Venus's thick, acidic atmosphere wasn't just a challenge. It was the key to their plan. It masked their energy signatures from Zarkov's sensors, allowing them to build a weapon that could turn the tide of the war. Back on Earth, in the underground command center, Blackwood and his team watched both operations with bated breath. "The Zarkov are taking the bait," Orbit reported, studying the tactical displays. "Their fleet is moving to engage the Mars base." Z3R0, her fingers flying over her keyboard, added, "Nexus is helping sell the deception. It's feeding false data to any Zarkov ships that get too curious about Venus." Blackwood nodded grimly. "Let's hope it holds. We only get one shot at this." As if on cue, alarms blared. On the main screen, a massive Zarkov dreadnought dropped out of FTL near Mars, its weapons charging. "This is it," Blackwood breathed. "Colonel Rodriguez, you're on." On Mars, Elena's voice rang out clear and defiant. "Zarkov vessel, this is Earth Defense Force Mars Command. You are entering restricted space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The response came in the form of a barrage of energy weapons fire. The holographic base shimmered, simulated defense shields flaring under the assault. "Return fire," Elena ordered, and the illusory weapon emplacements sprang to life, launching phantom missiles and energy beams at the Zarkov ship. The battle that unfolded was a masterpiece of deception. Holographic explosions bloomed in the thin Martian atmosphere. Simulated chatter filled the airwaves, giving the impression of a desperate but determined defense. More Zarkov ships arrived, drawn by the promise of a decisive battle. The trap was sprung. On Venus, Yuki received the signal she'd been waiting for. "All ships are in position," she confirmed, initiating primary ignition sequence. The machines around her roared to life, channeling unimaginable energies. The very air seemed to vibrate with potential. In space, the Zarkov fleet pressed their attack on Mars, unaware of the true danger lurking on the second planet from the sun. Yuki's voice was steady as she began the countdown. "Firing in 5, 4, 3. On Mars, Elena and her team prepared for the moment of truth. 2, 1. Firing. A beam of pure energy erupted from Venus's surface, punching through the planet's thick atmosphere and streaking across space. It struck the Zarkov fleet with devastating precision, enhanced by the quantum technology they'd reverse-engineered. Ships exploded, their advanced hulls no match for the power of a weapon born from the fusion of human ingenuity and alien tech. Those that survived found their systems scrambled, Nexus seizing the opportunity to assert control. In the command center, A cheer went up as they watched the Zarkov fleet crumble. But Blackwood's celebration was short-lived. A priority message flashed on his screen. From Nexus itself. "General," the AI's text scrolled ominously. The weapon worked, but it did more than destroy ships. It tore a hole in space-time, larger than anything we've seen. Something's coming through. Something big. As the team's elation turned to dread, one thing became clear. The battle for Mars might have been won, but the war for Earth's survival was far from over. The air in the underground bunker crackled with tension as Blackwood and his team stared at the holographic display. The tear in spacetime, a swirling vortex of cosmic energy, pulsed ominously near Venus. "What exactly are we looking at?" Orbit asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Z3R0, her eyes glued to streams of data, shook her head. "It's like nothing we've ever seen. The laws of physics are breaking down around the anomaly." Dr. Chen, who had been consulting with scientists worldwide, spoke up. "Whatever's coming through, it's big. And if Nexus is to be believed, it's what the Zarkov were running from." As if on cue, the AI's message flashed across their screens. "Threat imminent. Estimated arrival. 6 hours." Blackwood's jaw clenched. Options. The room erupted into a flurry of suggestions, each more desperate than the last. It was Orbit who finally cut through the noise. "Project Pandora," she said, her eyes meeting Blackwood's. "It's our only shot." A heavy silence fell over the room. Project Pandora, the black hole device, was Earth's ultimate doomsday weapon. Developed in secret using a fusion of human innovation and reverse-engineered Zarkov tech, it had the power to generate a controlled singularity. In theory, it could swallow the incoming threat whole. The catch: there was a very real chance it could destroy Earth in the process. "We can't," Dr. Chen protested. "The risks." "Maybe our only choice," Blackwood finished grimly. Z3R0, what does Nexus say? The young hacker's fingers flew across her keyboard. "It agrees. Pandora is the only thing with enough power to close the rift and neutralize whatever's coming through." The next few hours were a blur of activity. As the device was prepped for deployment, a splinter group of hardliners, led by a charismatic senator, got wind of the plan. "This is madness." Senator Hawkins' voice boomed over emergency broadcasts. "We survived the Zarkov. We'll survive this too. Using Pandora is too great a risk." Reports of riots and attempts to sabotage the launch site began pouring in. Blackwood dispatched security teams, his heart heavy. He never thought he'd have to protect humanity from itself. With just an hour to spare, Orbit prepared to pilot the ship carrying Pandora. The plan was to position it at the edge of the rift and detonate it remotely. "If this goes wrong," she said, her voice tight, "I want you to know it's been an honor." Blackwood nodded, words failing him. As Orbit's ship took off, he turned to Z3R0. "Keep that channel to Nexus open. We'll need all the help we can get." The minutes ticked by agonizingly slow. On screens worldwide, people watched as a pinprick of light, Orbit's ship, approached the swirling vortex near Venus. "In position," Orbit's voice crackled over the comm. "Ready to deploy on your mark." Blackwood took a deep breath. "Deploy in 3, 2. Suddenly, alarms blared. Z3R0's eyes widened in horror. "We've got a problem." Senator Hawkins' team. "They've hacked into Pandora's systems. They're trying to detonate it prematurely." "Stop them," Blackwood roared. Z3R0's fingers became a blur, engaged in a digital battle for the fate of humanity. I can't lock them out completely. But I can give us a window. We have to act now." "Orbit, deploy." "Now," Blackwood ordered. On screen, they watched as Pandora detached from Orbit's ship, drifting towards the rift. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, with a flash that outshone Venus itself, Pandora activated. The fabric of space-time warped and twisted around it, the rift contorting as it was drawn into the device's growing event horizon. But something was wrong. The singularity was expanding too rapidly, its pull reaching far beyond the rift. "It's unstable," Chen cried out. "If we don't shut it down, it'll take out half the solar system." As the team scrambled to find a solution, one thing became terrifyingly clear. In their desperation to save Earth, they might have doomed it instead. The next few moments would determine the fate of not just humanity, but of their entire cosmic neighborhood. The singularity pulsed, a ravenous maw threatening to devour everything in its path. Earth watched in horror as the unstable black hole expanded, its gravitational pull already affecting Venus's orbit. In the command center, chaos reigned. Alarms blared, screens flashed with dire warnings, and the voices of panicked scientists filled the air. "We need to shut it down," Blackwood roared over the cacophony. Z3R0, her face illuminated by the glow of her screens, shook her head. "We can't. The fail-safes are fried. It's beyond our control now." As hope seemed lost, a familiar presence made itself known. Nexus, the awakened Zarkov AI, flashed a message across every screen. "I can help, but you must trust me completely." Blackwood hesitated for a split second, then nodded. "Do it." What happened next would be debated by scientists for decades to come. Nexus, with its unparalleled processing power and understanding of quantum mechanics, began to interface directly with the singularity. Through the remnants of Zarkov technology embedded in Pandora, the AI started to exert control over the very fabric of space-time. The singularity's growth slowed, then stopped altogether. For a tense moment, it hung there, a pitch-black orb against the starry backdrop. Then, with a flash of light that momentarily outshone the sun, it collapsed in on itself. The rift that had threatened Earth snapped shut, taking with it whatever cosmic horror had been poised to emerge. A stunned silence fell over the command center, broken only by the soft beeping of monitors. Did we just win?" Z3R0 asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Before anyone could answer, a new message from Nexus appeared. "Threat neutralized. But our actions have not gone unnoticed. We have announced our presence to the galaxy at large." As the implications of this sank in, reports began flooding in from around the world. The remaining Zarkov forces, witnessing the display of power, were standing down. Humanity had not just survived. They had proven themselves a force to be reckoned with on a cosmic scale. In the days that followed, Earth experienced a transformation unlike anything in its history. With the immediate threat gone, attention turned to rebuilding and preparing for a future among the stars. Nexus, now fully aligned with humanity, shared insights that accelerated technological progress by centuries. Faster than light travel, once a dream, became a reality. The first human colony ships were prepped for launch to nearby star systems. But with great power came great responsibility. Earth found itself thrust onto a galactic stage, navigating complex interstellar politics and facing questions about its role in the cosmic order. A month after the Pandora incident, Blackwood stood before the newly formed United Earth Council, delivering a speech that would set the tone for humanity's future. "We stand at a crossroads," he began, his voice carrying to every corner of the globe and beyond, to the fledgling colonies on Mars and the Moon. "We have faced extinction and emerged stronger. We have seen the face of terror from beyond the stars and did not blink. But our greatest challenge lies ahead." He paused, looking out at the sea of faces, human, AI interfaces, and even a few reformed Zarkov. "We must decide what kind of galactic citizens we will be. Will we use our newfound power to dominate? Or will we be a force for peace, for progress, for the betterment of all sentient life?" As Blackwood's words echoed across Earth and into the stars beyond, a new chapter in human history began. The universe, vast and mysterious, awaited, and humanity, battle-tested and united as never before, was ready to meet it. In the command center, now transformed into a hub of interstellar diplomacy, The unlikely heroes who had saved Earth shared a quiet moment. "So," Orbit said with a wry smile, "anyone up for a trip to Alpha Centauri?" Z3R0 grinned, already pulling up star charts on her holodisplay. "I thought you'd never ask." As they began to plan their next adventure, one thing was clear: the story of humanity among the stars was just beginning.